Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Stanley with Standley Handcrafted, and today we're going to be doing an addendum or a part 2 to the video I did a couple weeks back where we calculate exactly how much wax and oil you need for a specific container. This is the one on the chalkboard where I went through and showed you the formula that was basically 16 ounces times 1.12 if you were going to add 12%, and you wanted the 12% to be in the total weight, which was the 16 ounces. Somebody in the comments pointed something out that I didn't even think of in that one, and that was that calculation didn't take into account the expansion of the wax. And basically what that means is when I was doing the 16 ounces in that one, I knew that that 16 ounces was going to be going into 3 8-ounce jelly jars, which of course holds right around like 21 fluid ounces with the wax, the oils, and everything. So I wasn't thinking about that one. So this formula is going to go into a little bit more detail and kind of factor in the expansion. So basically in that video and in another video, I show you that 16 ounces of weighed water is the same as 16 fluid ounces of water, and it looks like 16 ounces in a measuring cup. Whereas the wax, 16 weighed ounces of wax is actually 20 fluid ounces of wax in a measuring cup. So there are some big differences between those, and this formula is going to go into that one. So definitely a big thank you for the person that pointed that out, and this is what this video is going to do. It's going to go through, and I'm going to show you exactly how to take into account the expansion of the wax, or the larger volume or density of the wax. So basically, if you were going into a 16-ounce container, you wouldn't actually put 16 ounces of wax and oil and everything in there, because you're going to get a lot more than that. So this formula will go through, it'll calculate down so that the wax that you put in, and we're going to use the water method with this one, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do the water method perfectly. Basically, add the water, do the formula, and then your wax will fill up the vessel perfectly where the water was. So I'm going to go ahead and show the formula on the chalkboard, and then at the end we'll talk about this one. All right, so basically starting out, what the point was is if you take a cubic centimeter of wax, cubic centimeter of water, they're going to weigh different. They're the same size, but it's actually going to weigh a little bit different. The wax is 0.09, water is 1. So what we want to do is we want to take our total volume, which we're going to be, let's call it a 16-ounce container. We know that it's going to take probably around like 15 ounces of wax. We want to go down a little bit so that it's not completely full. So we're going to take 15 times 0.9, which is going to equal 1.35. And that's what we're going to take away because of the wax being a larger volume or density, or having more density than the water. So in the last video that I showed, you can see that 16 ounces of water was around 16 ounces or 16 fluid ounces in the measuring cup. The wax around 20 fluid ounces. So then of course, if we take the 15 minus 1.35, we get 13.65. So that's going to be our wax. So that's going to be the total weight of the wax and everything, oil and everything, that we're going to put inside of a 16-ounce container. Now, of course, this is when the second half of that equation comes in part 1 of the video. So basically, if we want to get 10% oil in this one, we're going to go back to the original video, which is dividing this by 1.10, which is going to be 12.4. And the difference in that is going to be the amount of oil that we add in, which equals 1.25. So we're going to have 12.4 ounces of wax. We're going to add 1.25 ounces of oil to get the total of 13.65 to go into the vessel. Okay, test. Okay, so let's say that we wanted to find out how much wax will actually fit in this jar. I've never used this one. I could look it up on the website, but let's say that you have a vessel that you don't know what it is. We'll go ahead and weigh it out, and we're going to use the water method. And this formula actually works for the water method as well. So we're going to go ahead and zero this out. And then we're going to go ahead and fill it to right about the desired height for our wax. So we're going to put that right at 13 ounces, 13.1, and you can see it's coming up right about the height that you'd want a candle. Could go a little bit higher than that, but we're gonna call it 13. Okay, so in that vessel, it was 13.1 ounces of water. Since we know wax is gonna have more density, or it's got a larger density, more volume inside the candle, we know that we can't put 13.1 ounces of wax into that vessel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that formula that I just showed. So it's gonna be 13.1 times 0.9, which is gonna be 11.7. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 11.7 ounces of wax. We're gonna melt it and then pour it straight in that vessel. And it should come to about the same point that the water came to. Okay, so I've got this zeroed out and we're gonna go ahead and add 11.7 ounces of wax. $11.5, 11.8. All right, so there we go, 11.7 ounces of soy, and we're gonna go ahead and heat this up. Okay, so this wax is fully melted. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. And this should fill about the exact same spot that the water did. And that is absolutely perfect. So definitely a big thank you in the comments for posting this formula. And then of course, if you wanted to add your oil, you would revert back to the part 1 of this video, which talks about how to get 10% and still end up with the 13.1 ounces. All right, so that's pretty much it. It's a very good formula, something that I didn't even think about when I did the first video. I just went into that one just knowing that the 16 ounces filled 3 of the 8-ounce jelly jars and completely overlooked the fact that if you did that formula going into another vessel, which was actually 16 ounces, it's not gonna match up. So this formula I think is very easy. If I glossed over something in this one or it just didn't make sense, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to go through and answer every single one of them. And then again, if you do get stuck on this one, basically once you figure out the wax, like in this one, we had the 13.1 ounces, so that if you wanted to have like 9% oil in that 13.1 ounces, you would revert back to the other video, which was the other formula that we showed, and you would still come up with the same amount. But like I said, if I glossed over something, I can cover it in a future video or cover it in the comment section down below. So I hope that was definitely informative. It was something I didn't think about, so again, thank you very much for pointing that out. And I'm glad that I could cover it in kind of a part 2 or an addendum to the first video. And as always, you can follow me on any of the social media platforms I've listed down below, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, my website, the email address if you want to reach out. And of course, I've included a link to the DIY Facebook group, which is in the video section down below. There's a lot of good discussions on there, so please jump over, join the Facebook group. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.